Hi, I'm Mandeep Singh, CEO and founder of Mandeeps.com and Vanjaro. Thank you so much for joining me in this series of preview videos of Vanjaro. So let's get started. In this video, we'll protect our Vanjaro site with Google ReCaptcha. And Google ReCaptcha protects your website from fraud and abuse from bots and spam and so forth. So let's go ahead and take a look what we need to do in Vanjaro to set this up. Now, obviously, you would need to go to your admin console on Google, sign up for it, and have a side key and secret key. Once you have that, you simply go onto your Vanjaro site, log in as an admin, and then from the site menu, you would simply go to Settings, down to Integrations, and choose Google ReCaptcha. You paste in your side key and your secret key, make sure it's enabled, and hit Update, and that's it. Now, we can do this for each site within our installation, or we can do this at a host or global level, which means the same site key will protect all these sites. Once you do this, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Vanjaro.com live so we can kind of take a look at this. The Google ReCaptcha protection kicks in for the entire site. So for example, here's the sign-in form, and we can see at the bottom right here that this is protected by ReCaptcha. There's nothing else you need to do, just once you enable it, it kind of kicks in. If I click on the sign up form, I see the same protection is now kicked in for the sign up too. And it's really that easy. Now, if you were to install third-party extensions in Vanjaro, those extensions can then use the same framework and automatically protect using the ReCaptcha. Now, if you're a developer, let's go ahead and take a look how easy it is to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on Inspect Source here on the sign-in button. And if you notice, on click, normally you would have your own logic, which is in our case login.user. But since we want to protect it with CAPTCHA, all we do is we wrap it into a method called validate CAPTCHA. You passed in this object a keyword which you can choose to your liking. This is usually used for reporting on Google, so Google can tell you, some analysis based on patterns, how many people log in versus how many people register, and how many of those were actual users versus bots, and so forth. So bottom line is, you could call your function right here within validate CAPTCHA method. As a developer, you don't need to worry about whether it's enabled or not enabled. That's handled behind the scenes for you. On your client side, that's all you really got to do. Call validate CAPTCHA, pass in this object, pass in a keyword, and then wrap your method into a function. And that's it, you're done. Now, if you are developing in a SPA pattern or using Web API, then it is super easy in terms of backend as well. So let's go ahead and bring in the backend view so we can take a look how easy it is. So let's say if you're developing on a SPA pattern, you're basically calling your controller through a Web API call, and for our case, I'm calling right here. And all we really have to do is write one line of additional code, and that is if the CAPTCHA validates, and again, this is the same keyword we had passed in the front end, the same keyword we had passed in the back end. And we do this so when we actually get a token from Google and we validate it server side through Google, we also want to validate the action name. So all the validation is happening behind the scenes for you. So as a developer, you really got to do is write one line of code in client side, one line of code in server side, and you're all done. And this validate will simply give you true or false. And if this doesn't validate, then you're probably dealing with a bot. Now, what if the CAPTCHA wasn't enabled or there's no keys defined? Well, you don't have to worry about it. This method handles that. And if there's CAPTCHA is not enabled, then it will return true. But if CAPTCHA is enabled, it will do the validations. Now, one other thing is we're using Google ReCaptcha version 3, which means it's unobtrusive. That means there's no challenges that are actually shown to the end user. It instead generates a score. Google tells us that it gives a score between 0 and 1, telling us now how likely this interaction is either a bot or a human. Now, by default, this method here validates that everything needs to have a minimum of 0.5 or above. But let's say if you're doing something of your own, something custom, you can simply go ahead and override that. For example, the minimum score here, which by default goes 0.5, you can say I need this to be at least a 0.75 to be considered a valid response. Or similarly, if you have something some of lower, you can go ahead and pass in a lower version too. So that's how easy it is if you're doing a SPA version of it using web call. If you are still using web forms and doing postback, Well, you still have the option here to pass in a token, which is available client side. You will just have to figure out how to read it server side and pass this along, and it will still do the validation for you. Well, that's it for this short video. It's super easy to make your Vanjaro site secure from bots and spammers and abusers. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social networks. Head over to Vanjaro.com and join the conversation. Let us know what you think about Vanjaro.